In this short talk episode, I speak to Bruce King about the salesperson struggle. Listen to the 4 key takeaways in this conversation, where Bruce argues that few are natural-born salespeople and must learn skills like prospecting and handling objections. However, many do not take it as seriously a profession or commit to continuous learning, ensuring that they cannot meet modern customer needs. I create clear-thinking and decisive leaders who can amplify their influence. Contact me to find out how I can help you or your organisation. And today our guest is Bruce King. How are you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Judith.
Great. So what's your favourite fruit, Bruce?
My favourite fruit?
Yeah.
Passion fruit.
And why is that?
Because my daughter lives in LA. She moved there a few years ago. We often had passion fruit here back at home, but very rarely because you don't see them that often. And now her garden has a passion fruit bush about 40 feet long, and there are literally hundreds of passion fruits dropping off every week.
Interesting. So, Bruce, tell me more about you.
More about me. Well, I'm getting a little bit aged now, so it would take a long time. How far do you want to go back?
What do you think is the best thing to share with the audience about you?
I think every success I've had, and I've had a lot of successes, and the occasional failure, the successes have always been due to the fact that what I've been doing is helping people. And a few occasions when I wasn't so successful was when I was only concerned about helping myself.
That's really interesting because that's a complaint often made about salespeople, isn't it? That they are so self-interested that they miss what their customer wants or even collaborating with the rest of the team.
They don't have a clue what their customers want, or most of them don't. It's an interesting fact that the Objective Management Group, which is one of the world's most respected companies in the sales competence assessment industry, their assessments have been used by more than 20,000 companies and with approximately 1.5 million salespeople. And an analysis of the assessments they've completed since day one led the CEO, Dave Curlin, to drop his usual polite corporate speak, and he summarized their findings rather more bluntly. He said 74% of salespeople suck. And
wow.
His view is supported by many similar organizations, including the very well-known Forrester Research. So the major problem is that most people don't know how to sell, and they certainly don't know what the customer wants. And the customer, the buyer, wants something much more than they used to want many years ago.
Well, let's explore that a bit. So are you saying that even professional salespeople struggle to know what their customers want?
Yes. Some, not all. There's a few exceptions. Obviously, there's exceptions in everything. But most of them don't fully understand what a buyer wants nowadays. You know, it's interesting that, I mean, let me tell you my favorite definition of sales. I wrote this, must be 30 years ago, and I've never changed it because I still think it's relevant. Selling is exposing companies and individuals to problems, some of which they never knew they had or thought were unsolvable, and to opportunities they never knew existed, and then showing them how your product, your service, or your idea can help them solve those problems and exploit those opportunities and helping them to buy.
So that's sales, not marketing?
That's sales.
Okay.
Well, look, sales and marketing are inextricably combined. You know, a lot of what salespeople do is marketing, and what a lot of marketing people do is sales. So, yes, of course, it's marketing as well.
Do you think that companies make a mistake when they try to have marketing departments and sales department? Do you think they should have people that just do both?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So I've heard you say that sales is leadership. Tell me more about that.
Well, if I go back over my sales career, I mean, I started off when in sales with a Saturday job, and I was helping sell suits in a gentleman's tailor. Um, but I helped people to choose clothes that suited the occasion, suited them, suited their personalities, and I helped them to buy. And later on, I was helping people to buy electrical goods, TVs, refrigerators, um, washing machines, etc., etc. And over the years, I moved up. I went into financial services. I was in financial services for the best part of 15 years. And I helped people plan their financial lives. Um, I'll never forget my opening when I went to see somebody with the first time. And this fits in so beautifully with my definition of sales, which I wrote later. But having established some rapport quite rapidly, I would say, look, let's get straight down to it. You, I, and everybody else in the world has two problems. Either we're going to live too long or we're going to die too soon. Which one would you like to discuss first? So I'm looking for problems and I'm looking for opportunities. And in terms of leadership, what I always did in selling, and I still do, is I ask questions to identify problems. I ask questions to identify opportunities that they might be able to take care of. I'm leading them along.
Okay.
It's a leadership process. And salespeople need to be leaders. They need to, I mean, if you look at what buyers want nowadays, let's face it, if they can go onto the internet and very, very often they've already decided what they think they want by spending time on the internet. They don't phone up a company and want to speak to a salesperson without doing prior research. So what do they want? They want a valuable perspective on the market. They want information, perspectives from people who can help them to identify new opportunities, either to cut costs, increase revenue, penetrate new markets. Somebody who's working in that field and understands it on a much broader scale than they, because they're working in their business. They're looking for salespeople who clearly differentiate themselves from all the other salespeople. They want people who can explain why they're more valuable than others. They want salespeople that stand apart and can pinpoint areas where there's unique advantages for them. And they don't want to hear that, the same old, there's only one way or a single solution. They need to be able to discuss options. And maybe some of those options they can't supply, but they need to be able to understand them. They want ongoing advice and they want innovative solutions to problems. They want fast responsiveness and they want creativity. And they also want help to avoid, potential landmines.
Okay, that makes sense. So,
In fact, typically customers want salespeople who understand their needs better than they do.
okay, so what you're really saying then is that we shouldn't really look at sales then as a transactional thing anymore, because what clients want really now is an ongoing relationship with somebody that they can trust.
Well, not necessarily. It depends what industry you're working. I mean, if you're selling double glazing, for example, they're not going to come back and buy more double glazing, or it's very unlikely. They may add a porch to their front door. But it doesn't matter. They still are looking for expert advice. They want to like you. Well, they don't necessarily have to like you, but they need to trust you. They need to know what you are talking about before they will buy from you. Even if it's a one-off sale, you still need to lead them into the purchase of that sale.
Okay, that makes sense. All right then. So you said that all sales is like leadership anyway. And I know that one of the things that people complain probably the most about salesmen from an organizational point of view is that they seem to live outside the processes that people want, like, not filling in the paperwork, maybe not being as truthful as they should be in terms of what the product can and can't do. Do you think salesmen see themselves as leaders, or do you see themselves as rushing to the next commission?
I think they should see themselves as leaders. I think that's absolutely essential, but they're not taught how to do it. This is the major problem. I mean, I've worked with a lot of sales managers, helping them with their teams, and the sales managers can't sell. So if the sales managers can't sell, I'm not talking about all sales managers, many sales managers cannot sell. If they cannot sell, how can they lead their team?
Yeah, it's not that uncommon these days, is it, to have sales managers that don't sell or haven't sold?
Well, I've always been of the view that you lead from the front.
So, in terms of the training that you provide, what makes it different from other sales training?
I don't actually do sales training anymore. I do it as maybe sometimes do it as part of my other work. I mean, my main work nowadays is working with SMEs, just a handful at any one time, and helping them to grow their businesses. Now, every business, whether they like it or not, is in sales and marketing. If you're in business, I'm assuming that in 99% of cases, you do a very good job. You're experts at what you do. That's the easy part of the business because you've been doing that for years, possibly. The difficult part is selling, marketing and selling what your business does. Your main function is sales and marketing.
I've certainly helped a lot of business owners actually define their proposition and how to attract the right client, I guess. And that understanding of what they do is essential for them to be able to sell what they do. So before we end, what's your views on why salespeople struggle, or maybe business owners trying to sell? Why are they struggling in the sales part?
Because they haven't learned to sell properly. Salespeople are not born. I mean, occasionally you come across somebody who's never had any training and who happens to be absolutely brilliant. And probably they should be on stage rather than in sales. The vast majority of people are not born salespeople. They have to learn how to sell, and they have to continuously learn. It's like professional development. They should be constantly learning. If I'm speaking at a conference, I may ask the question, there's, maybe 1,000 people there, and I'll say, please raise your hands if you read a sales book or listened to a sales coaching webinar or seminar in the last 12 months. And hardly any hands go up. They don't take their role seriously. I don't think they see it as a profession, so many of them. And it is a profession. It's a fantastic profession. It's a profession where you can earn more money than most other professionals if you only treat it as a profession.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Brilliant. So, is there any specific things about selling that they should learn?
Yes, everything.
Okay.
The entire thing, from prospecting to presentation skills to communication skills to neuro-linguistic programming to handling objections and finally asking for the business.
Yeah, that can be the hardest bit for some people. Bruce, this is brilliant having you on the show. Is there any last things that you want to share?
Well, if there's anything else you'd like to ask me, delighted to answer it. But no, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And thank you out there for tuning into the Maverick Paradox podcast. I am Judith Germain, your host. I hope you have enjoyed listening to today's conversation with Bruce.
The Maverick Paradox. Judith Germain is an author, speaker, consultant, mentor, and trainer, and the leading authority on Maverick leadership. She is the founder of the Maverick Paradox, which supports organizations to enhance their leadership capabilities and to help business owners develop and grow their businesses. Judith enables individuals, business owners, and organizations to improve their impact and influence. She is also HR Zone's leadership columnist, and her expert opinion has appeared in national, international, and trade press.